So welcome back to Be Your Best University. It's your boy Michael Ofani X talking about how to avoid tit for tat in your relationship with the goal of marriage, right? So this is for those people who are seeking marriage as the standard, and specifically we're talking to divine masculines, right? We're talking to divine masculines seeking a divine feminine. So if you're a divine masculine seeking a ratchet, then this ain't for you, brother. This is not what we're trying to do here. We're talking about divine masculines seeking divine feminines, right? And so part of this walk requires you to avoid tit for tat, right? So again, my name is Michael Ofani. Welcome back to Be Your Best University, where we're helping every people welcome or become their very best, right, by overcoming the life test. And so today we're diving into how to strengthen your relationship with the goal of marriage in mind by avoiding the tit for tat mentality. So let's get started. Tap in, like, share, and subscribe, and really make sure you tag someone you know who needs to hear this. So let's get into it. Point number one. So let's understanding the tit for tat, right? So before we even get in there, let's understand this tit for tat mentality or overstand this mentality, right? So what's the definition of tit for tat? So it means responding to your partner's actions with equal reactions and often tends to be negative, right? So it can create a cycle of resentment and negativity. So this is a good example, right, where it's often negative, right? So if we responded every time our partner did something that was negative and we responded positively, then that would be a good example of tit for tat, right? So tit for tat isn't necessarily always bad. It's the manner in which we use it, right? So most times how we use it is negative. So it can create a cycle of resentment and negativity. So what are the examples of this in relationship? For example, right? If one partner forgets an anniversary, instead of retaliating or reminding, the other person might, or because you forgot it, the other person might retaliate, right, by neglecting your partner's need, right? They might say, no honey, no stunning, you know what I mean? No money, no honey, right? This creates negativity that can compromise the relationship over time. Or the person could say, no bath, no cat, or right, or just different things to tit for tat, and highlighting its impact. This mentality can lead to frustration and distance, making it difficult to envision a future together. It's vital to recognize this pattern early on. So now this is very different from boundaries, right? Boundaries are for you, right? Boundaries are for you, and your relationship is with someone else. So you can't relate, or at least you can relate to yourself. So you do have a relationship with yourself, right? But specifically, we're talking about the relationship of marriage, and the relationship of marriage is with another person, right? It's a euphemism, more specifically to that marriage that we're getting in tune back with, to the marriage with the Most High, the marriage in tune to be back in with the kingdom, where our Father has many mansions. And so it's all euphemism for those things. And so we got to cultivate empathy, right? Part of the issue is we're not cultivating empathy in how we communicate with one another. We're not necessarily looking at the righteous vibration of the movement. We're just looking to gain from marriage, as opposed to looking at the character that we develop within marriage, because that's really what marriage is designed to do. It's easy to believe that you're a great person when you have no one else telling you, but marriage will reveal that to you. And so many divine masculines are afraid of being tested and being revealed and being challenged and motivating themselves to the next level. I literally have a story from one of divine masculines that we went to go see their wedding. I reached out to Brody, tell him like, hey, you got any issues in your marriage, anything come up, reach out to us, let us know if anything come up, no call, no nothing. We ain't hear nothing from the couple. We went to their marriage, to their wedding, not their marriage. We went to their wedding, right? Not their marriage, right? Because too many divine masculines are concerned with their wedding and not the marriage, right? And so that's probably why we discussed that. You got to make sure that you are more concerned with the long legacy of your marriage. Otherwise, it's not gonna be the best thing for you. So you got to tap into that truth, right? You can't just be like everybody else and only worried about that small aspect for a momentary time. You got to see the long view of life, right? And so point number 2, right? You got to cultivate empathy and compassion in the way that you relate. So you got to practice active listening, right? So active listening is crucial. Make sure you fully understand your partner's perspective, ask questions and clarify feelings, right? You got to validate each other's emotions. The more that you validate each other's emotions, the more healthier it'll be for you all. So even if you disagree, acknowledge your partner's feelings. Statements like overstand why you feel that way can go a long way, right? I overstand why you feel that way can go a long way. instead of just saying, I don't get what you're doing. You're confusing. You aren't making sense. You're no good. These are words to stay away from. Again, they say relationship is like listening to those two things, right? You got to listen to that righteous, or, wherever you want to play. If you're left-handed, right? You got to listen to that good, right? That good usually will ask for unity. That good will usually want you all to come back together. That evil side of you, will be like, nah, burn that bridge, yo. You don't need them. We can do this again. You see how it clips, right? Because it's heavy. It's a heavy, dense, runaway mentality and energy. It's a frequency. It's a certain frequency. It's nah, fuck that. I'm better off by myself. That might be true, but you don't really get to then be married, right? That's just the reality. You can't be married by yourself, right? That's kind of how this works. And so we have to be able to get back to unity and understand that the Most High said forever. You are forever in the ancient order of Melchizedek, right? You are forever a priest in the ancient order of Melchizedek, right? So there is no running away from your assignment. And marriage is one of those assignments, right? Marriage is one of those things that's going to help cultivate the person you're looking to become. And the more that we run from that cultivation, like the plant, then the harder and the longer it's going to take for us to get our divine destiny, right? So I hope this is helping somebody out there, because even if you disagree, acknowledge your partner's feelings, right? Statements like, I understand why you feel that way can go a long way, right? Choosing kindness is key. You got to choose more kindness, right? So when disagreements arise, consciously choose to respond with kindness instead of retaliation, right? So ask yourself, how can I support my partner during this tough conversation, right? And again, everything I'm saying is simple, but it is not easy, right? Everything I will provide you is very, very, very simple, but it is not easy, right? It's not easy to forgive. It's not easy to forgive your partner after they do something that disrespects your trust. It's hard. It's very hard. It's very upsetting that they get to have all the benefits of you and nothing, at least it feels like nothing has changed, but that actually is furthest from the truth, right? Just by virtue of you recognizing that this was an issue, the relationship has already changed, right? Your sheer acknowledgement of your boundaries is the key. Boundaries are supposed to be set up before the offense, not after, right? Boundaries are what we have to protect us from the offense. So if the offense has come, that is more so the signal that we didn't have the proper boundaries in place. And so our goal isn't to necessarily not put up boundaries now that it's too late. No, that's not what we're saying. It's more to be able to recognize that some certain things, certain issues happen so that you can learn this boundary, right? Certain offenses happen to you in life so that you can build this proper boundary and have a proper relationship with others in life. So most times it's going to be your partner, it's going to be your marriage partner that's going to be teaching you these lessons. It's going to be bringing you these lessons. Why? Because they deal with you mostly. And if you dealt with anything mostly, so if you all do 9-to-5 jobs, and that if you didn't have a partner and you had to work, then that is your marriage right now, then, right? There's always going to be something that you're married to that is the reason why you are able to still keep doing or keep surviving or keep thriving in life. And so we've all made agreements and choices of things that we're going to be associated with and tied to. And so many of us are okay with the truth of that matter. Many of us are pretending in this manner, right? But we have to tune in to the reality, right? So even if you disagree, acknowledge your partner's feelings. Statements like, I understand why you feel that way can go a long, long way. Choose kindness. I'm telling you, choose kindness. So when a disagreement arises, consciously choose to respond with kindness instead of retaliation. Ask yourself, how can I support my partner during this tough conversation? So reinforce positive behaviors. Celebrate each other's success, right? So me and wifey, we just went to Dallas, right? And where we had to celebrate her success, right? And it was important to celebrate her success because it ultimately was an opportunity to celebrate our success, right? Because within it, we learned up a lot of gems that was very therapeutic as it relates to our marriage, because that's just what's a beautiful thing about life. You never know what you're going to get when you just take that journey. And the Most High rewards you when you just pick up that journey. For example, one of those rewards was just recording. I didn't want to record right now, but the Most High said, just do that. Have you done what we've already asked you to do? And I had to be honest that I hadn't, right? Because this is the issue. We are asking for things, but we're not taking the time out to do the very thing we're asking for. If I'm asking to build a YouTube channel, where are my videos, right? Where are my content that is creating values that helps others? And so this has helped me, so I know it's going to help others. It's very quite simple. And so we have to just be more put ourselves in the place of that growth, put ourselves in the seat, in the throne of that growth, if that's truly what we want for ourselves and others. And so we have to focus on the growth that is working within us before we focus outward. So when disagreements arise, consciously choose to respond with kindness instead of retaliation. Y'all heard that? Y'all better prepare for today's victories. That's why I got to change that one too. So we're going to start preparing for today's victories, because I'm even learning words like bless, right? Be lessing, or be lessing ourselves, or have a weak strong, right? Or have a strong weak, right? Or have a strong is really what we're saying now, right? Have a strong, or being conscious. Why not procious, right? You have to be pro in everything we do and no longer cons in the way that we move around. So even contracts, why not protracts? Protracts is literally what we use to measure, right? And I think that's actually the issue in life. We're not measuring. We're not measuring ourselves. We're not calculating ourselves. We're not actually looking into how successful we are and can be. We're leaving a lot of money on the table. And so you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not getting out here and talking about your relationship and talking about your truth of what you've experienced. Now, only speak to what you've done. You can't speak to what you hope to do. You can only speak to what you've done. So let's speak about unifying goals, because that's what we do, right? So discussing goals together. Part of the issue is you're not discussing enough goals together, right? You gotta have more commonality in your vision. You gotta have more visionary outlook in your vision. If you walk towards a common goal together, it's much easier to be in unison, right? So discussing goals together is critical. So have open discussions about both immediate and long-term goals, right? So what do you both want to achieve as a couple, right? So make sure these are reflective of a shared commitment to a vision board. You got to make sure it's shared, right? You got to make sure it's a shared commitment to your vision board. You got to make sure you tap into this truth, right? So what else, right? You got to create that vision board. So considering creating a vision board together that represents your collective goals. This visual representation can serve as a reminder of your shared commitment, right? You got to check in. So again, from that commitment, you're going to have regular check-ins, right? So regular check-ins are critical. You have to have it regular. Schedule it and also make it impromptu. Right? So schedule regular check-ins to discuss how you're both progressing towards these goals. This proactive communication prevents issues from arising. So again, and then lastly, we're going to end on success stories. Share stories of couples who navigated challenges by maintaining a long-term vision. This can inspire your viewers to adopt similar strategies, right? So you got to share more success stories. You got to get out there and be more unified in your approach, because that's going to be the critical thing, right? People want to hear your successes. They want to hear how you're overcoming these particular things. And so that's how we're going to overcome tit for tat, right? So we're going to overcome tit for tat through setting unified goals, creating unified goals, cultivating empathy for one another, right? Cultivating empathy for one another, and finding and getting in tune with understanding what tit for tat means, right? We got to define it better, right? The better that we define it, the better we'll be able to eliminate it. Part of it is we don't know when we are doing it. And because we don't know when we're doing it, it's hard to prevent it. So let's tap back into knowing what we're doing when we're doing it, so that we can have more success in marriage. Again, this is specifically for my divine masculines, but I know my divine feminines can also gain value from this. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you share this with a divine masculine that you believe is ready to take that next level of marriage with you, or if you as a young man, as yourself, know a young bro who needs to hear this word so that he can take his walk and his relationships more seriously, because that's the issue. Many of us as men, we're not taking our walk and relationship as seriously as we need to. So again, this is for divine masculines looking for marriage with divine feminines, right? Divine masculines looking for marriage with divine feminines, right? So tap in to the truth, tap into you. Amen. Ra.